One wrong text at the wrong time and your second date disappears. If you text too fast, you look needy. And if you wait too long, she moves on. In the next couple of minutes, I'm going to make you an expert when it comes to what to send after the first date. But I'm also going to give you the exact words and the exact timing, so you don't kill the attraction you just built. I've done extensive testing since I run Ovalo, where we manage the dating profiles for entrepreneurs. We see actually what gets you second dates and what gets you ghosted. And today, you're getting the playbook. But before I give you the copy-paste lines, let me explain the rules. The first rule is when to send. And for this, I always think about back in the days. You see, there was a group of weirdos that always talked about how to seduce women. And they had a lot of crazy ideas and rules. And when it came to sending a message after the first date, they stated that you should wait at least 3 days. That's where the infamous 3-day rule comes from. And let's just say that rule has ruined a lot of good dates and interactions. So now we know what not to do, let's discuss a good time frame. You have two options. Option number 1 is 1 to 3 hours after the date. The second option is the morning or afternoon the next day. Later in this video, I'll show you exactly what time frame to use for each situation. The second rule is your tone, which always matters when communicating. For this, we have the MME framework. The first M stands for match. This means you want to have somewhat of a similar style of communicating. If she sends long messages, you send long ones. If she sends short ones with emojis, you do the same. People feel at ease when the other person communicates in a similar way. The second M stands for mirror. Just like mirroring during a conversation, you can also do the same with texting. With mirroring, you're adapting the same vibe that the other person portrays. If she's super playful, you don't want to sound like a robot, and vice versa. When it comes to improving your texting, you need to keep the E in mind. E stands for elevate, which means that you want to put in a little bit more than she does. Because imagine the opposite. Both parties are messaging and they keep the messages shorter and shorter. The end result will just be a conversation with just one-word messages. So elevate your message length, but also the tonality. Everything should just be like 10% more. Now we know about tone, we need to talk about an amazing hack you should pretty much always use. You see, something that is very important with communication is creating a bond. And an easy way to strengthen this bond is by creating togetherness. For this, you can use a callback. When you're using a callback, you're referring to something that happened prior. Let's say you went to play golf with a girl. A way to use callback is by saying the following. Was fun today, Anna. Your golf skills were really getting good. Who knew you had a little bit of Tiger Woods inside of you? When you reach this message, she will think back about the date and the fun she had, which is exactly what we want to have happen. So rule number 3 is make sure to use callbacks. For the fourth rule, there's a saying I always use. Action without direction leads to rejection. And this is incredibly important after having had the first date. The reality is you should not become text buddies for the next 2 weeks. Vitally important that you schedule the next date in 6 to 36 hours after resuming messaging. You do this by making a concrete ask or proposal. I'll give you concrete examples that you can copy in a little bit, so don't worry about that. When resuming the conversation, don't overlook rule number 5, which is ratio. Most guys think that asking a lot of questions makes them a great conversationalist, but if all you do is asking, you stop sounding like a potential boyfriend and start sounding like an interviewer. After the first date, your text should feel like two people sharing the same vibe. Should not feel like filling out a survey. Aim for the sweet spot. You want to have a 1-to-1 ratio between questions and statements. Be realistic that in some parts of the conversations, you'll be making a lot more statements, and in other parts, you'll be asking a lot more questions. Just be mindful of having the ratio. When you share, you give her something to react to. She learns more about your personality, humor, and lifestyle. These are all things that actually make her want to see you again. Now, this is an example of how a bad ratio works. You, how was your work? Her, busy. You, got plans this weekend? Her, not sure yet. An example of using a good ratio looks like the following. Damn, work today was very chaotic. A client of mine explained something easy with a 30-minute story. Wish I was joking. How was your day? Now she can react to your story and answer your question. Pro tip is keep a few light, shareable moments ready from your day. Even small stuff or something weird that you saw at the gym or a random thought you had. These all will make your conversation feel more natural and connected. And honestly, they don't even have to be from that specific day. Remember, you're not a journalist, you're the guy she had a great date with. So let her see your human side and not just your questions. So alright, let's get to the most important part, the actual text you can copy and paste. I'm going to break it down into 3 categories. 1, when the date went well. 2, when it went alright. And 2, when it honestly didn't really go that well. That way you know exactly what to send depending on the date. First, let's talk about when things went great. When this is the case, you can get away with a whole lot more. Your overall goal should be to keep some enthusiasm, keep the energy going, and to smoothly set up the second date. When it comes to timing, it doesn't really matter too much, but in general, you want to send it 1 to 3 hours after the date. But sending it the next day works perfectly. Here's some examples of things you can send. Number 1. Was fun, Anna. Seems like my suspicions about you were right. With this message, you also add intrigue. And when she asks you what her suspicious was, you can just say that she is great company. Number 2. Had a good time tonight, Jessica. You're officially the fastest at learning golf I've seen all week. Number 3. Seems like we hit it off pretty well. Think we should continue this soon. Number 4. Was fun, Rose. Forget to tell you something. And when she asks what, you say the following. Are you free on Thursday or Friday for our next encounter? And number 5, a super simple, got home safe. Your dates aren't always going to go amazing. Sometimes it takes a bit of time for the click to really get there. Or one of you guys were tired or distracted. There's a lot of reasons why your date actually just didn't go perfectly, and that's perfectly fine. This will also be the case if you have no clue on how to date effectively and you were just winging it. When it comes to this category, it's best to send a message after 3 hours or the next day. This gives some time for the emotions and thoughts to settle. She might also be confused, and this gives her some space to process it. Since the date didn't go amazing, it's good to follow it up with something interesting, because you might have lost some of the intrigue during the date. So here's where I recommend you to send. Was interested to meet you, Sandra. By the way, sorry I wasn't fully there mentally. Had some work stuff that happened before the date. Hopefully this date wasn't your worst one. This message gives her an explanation of why it didn't go great. It also frames it in a way where she thinks this wasn't the worst and looks at the positive side of things. Number 2, was fun yesterday, but got something better in mind for next time. Number 3, good to meet you yesterday, Emma. Gotta admit, my hat was half at work. Hope it wasn't too obvious. Number 4, you know what's important about the first date, Jenny? And then when she replies with, what? You say, making sure you don't set the bar too high so you know the second date is always better. Now you can also use variations of these. So check the situation you're in and adjust accordingly. When things didn't go that well, you need to ask yourself the following. What actually was the reason why it didn't go well? Do you guys have vastly different value systems, or were you not attracted to her, or was the date type just very, very bad? It's important to analyze before messaging her. You should always ask yourself the question, do you still want to see her again? If the answer is no, just let her off slowly. Don't message her too much and slowly let the conversation die. But if you did like her, you need to add a lot of magic. Reality is that she's not inclined to go on another date when the first one went bad, and she feels bad about it. So here's the blueprint on what you can do about this. First, acknowledge that it was bad. You can do this by saying the following. I did expect things to go better than that. Haha, how was it for you? This gives her the ability to openly acknowledge the fact that she also didn't have the best time. After this, you can give a reason for when it went bad. You can say, guess it was a bit of an off day. Or, yeah, my hat was completely somewhere else. After this, it's best to not try to reschedule at that specific moment. The goal in this situation is to get back to vibing and sharing your life. It would be best to increase your value a bit through texting. It's also good to have something really cool for the second date. This will increase the chance of her joining. But once again, there's no guarantee in this situation. Just try not to be needy. But one side note is that you need to make sure that the date actually went bad. Because sometimes we see clients state that the date went bad, but in reality, it went okay. So if you're not 1000% sure, use the ones for when the date went good or when it went alright. You don't have anything to lose in this situation anyway. Now, once the second date is scheduled, you need to take the final rule into consideration. Whenever we schedule dates for our clients, we often get the same question. Kun, do I need to keep the conversation going? This is often the moment where I need to give them some bad news. You see, you can't schedule a first or a second date and then just ignore her until the date shows up. When you're in communication with somebody, you have a connection with that person. You can see this as like a string between the two of you. The more you communicate, the stronger the string gets. At least if you're not saying any dumb stuff. So if you're carefully crafting a string and you neglect it for a couple of days, the string gets thinner and thinner. It might actually end up breaking before the next date happens. So the final rule is make sure to send messages between the first and second date. Now you know what to do, let's also cover what not to do and some important note when it comes to texting after the first date, because there are some pitfalls that you need to know about. The first one is watch out with ChatGPT, because I really recommend some weird messages. So just stick to the ones mentioned in this video or variations of it. Also, the worse the date went, the less affection you should be giving over text. In general, sending long thank you messages will only backfire. You should always assume that the day went well and that she wants to see you again. Another important note is that even after the first date, you still have to lead. Even feminist women love guys that have the ability to lead, so keep an eye out for that. And also, we unfortunately have to cover what happens when she actually doesn't reply. And reality is this is a really bad sign, but understand that this is just a part of dating nowadays. There's nothing wrong with you if some girls just don't like you. It actually means you probably have a polarizing personality, which makes other women completely fall in love with you. But If you want to make your dates actually go better, you need to understand what women find attractive. Watch this video about the 7 secret things men do women find attractive to learn about it, because knowing these will instantly give you the knowledge on what to focus on. So click on the video on your screen now.